kick off our Ninja Accelerator this week as we're in week 9 of It's All About Love. We're going to talk about Pre-empting the Disruptors. This is a great Ninja session. We're super excited to have you all here. So Karma, do you want to kick it off and share who our special guest is today?
I am going to share who our special guest is today. It's Natasha O'Connor. Kidding. Hey, Don Shea.
Good morning. I love that kind of an intro.
We have the fabulous Don Shea, who manages, let's see, Evanston, Wilmette, and Lake Geneva. And why don't you fill everybody in on kind of who you are, Don, for those that don't know you.
Well, yeah, for those of you who haven't met me yet, as Karma said, I do run the Evanston, Wilmette, and Lake Geneva offices. I've been a managing broker with that since about 2012. Somebody named Amy Corr was my first manager when I got here. Put me on the right path, I'll tell you that. So, and what I really enjoy most in the 3 offices is really helping people, not only with contracts, but how to work through the real estate transaction. And it seems to be a lot of the nuts and bolts. But today we're going to talk about a topic that I think is really exciting and critical to our ongoing success. So in case you haven't guessed it, this is something that really excites me as well.
Yes,
right.
And Don Shea, if you don't know it, we call him Data Don. So if you ever need anything done in Excel, spliced 80 different ways, he's your guy. He taught me how to do a pivot table. I still don't remember after you taught me, but I'm super appreciative that you did.
Well, apparently I need to get a life.
No, we love you. We love you. So we're really excited to have Don here today to share and jump in on this topic. So what we're going to do, as we always do with these Ninja sessions, is we've got, I think it's like an 8-minute video that we're all going to watch. And then afterwards, we're going to chat a little bit about the conversation. And then we're going to tap into Don's amazing brain and get some of his perspective on disruptors in our marketplace and how we as agents overcome them. So without further ado, I'm going to do my very best not to screw this up and get this video going. So bear with me.
Hello and welcome to the Ninja Path. My name is Larry Kendall. I'm the author of Ninja Selling, and our goal is to help you increase your income per hour so that you can have a life. We do that by helping you focus on your 3 success keys: your mindset, your skill set, and your actions. This particular Ninja lesson is both a mindset and an action lesson, and it's about how to preempt the disruptors in our industry by following what we call the road less traveled. Recently, I was in a Ninja installation and a woman came up to me and she says, "I'm very concerned about the industry disruptors." And I said, "Tell me more about that." And she said, "Well, I'm concerned about Zillow, Redfin, Zillow Instant Offers, Open Door, OfferPad, Purple Bricks," and she named others. I said, "What is your concern?" She says, "I know I can compete if I get in the game. My concern is they're going to capture the buyers and sellers before I even have a chance to get in the game." And as she began to talk, all at once she stopped and she looked at me and she says, "You don't seem to be too concerned about this." And I said, "Well, if you follow the Ninja system, you'll follow a path that only about 6% of the realtors choose to follow." You see, most realtors are on the transaction path. They have a mindset that is a transaction focus. Their mindset basically is this: these folks bought their house, they're good to go for the next 7 to 9 years. Where's my next transaction? And we know this because of the research. If you look at the Consumer Housing Trends Report, one of the questions that they asked 13,249 households was, did your real estate agent contact you after closing? 74% said they never heard from the realtor ever again. 20% said they heard from them occasionally, defined as once a year, and only 6% followed up and stayed in touch on a regular basis, defined as about once a month. It's that 6% that we're talking about. That's the Ninja Path. I remember showing this slide at the Colorado Real Estate Convention, and I was challenged by a manager in the room. He says, "You know, I don't believe that slide. I don't believe we're that bad. I don't believe that only 6% follow up regularly." And I said, "Well, those are the numbers from the survey." And it was interesting, about 2 hours later in the keynote address, Lee Cockrell was our keynote speaker. Lee is a retired executive vice president of Disney. He was in charge of Disney World. He's giving a magnificent speech on leadership, on customer service, and all at once he stops. Right in the middle of his speech, he said, "Can I give you an observation on your industry? My wife and I have purchased 11 homes in our lifetime. We've never once had the realtor connect with us after closing." I was looking for that manager because here's Lee Cockrell confirming the statistics that we saw earlier that only 6% really follow up on a consistent basis. In Lee's case, he's 0 for 11. So what's going on here? Let's take a look at the business strategy of these industry disruptors and distractors. What we know is last year, the people who sold their homes in the United States owned them for an average of 8.18 years. This wheel represents an 8-year cycle. So they go through this cycle about every 8 years. All of these companies, Instant Offers, Purple Bricks, and so on, they're after that last 12-month period, what's shaded in green there. They're trying to figure out who's about ready to move. And this is where the leads are. So everything is oriented towards that last 12 months, that last year, and how can we figure out who's moving, how can we generate those leads, how can we sell those leads to real estate people? We call that the industry mosh pit. Everybody's in that last 12 months pushing and shoving, trying to figure out who's moving, how to get those leads, how to buy those leads, how to sell those leads. Ninjas are on a different path. Our focus is a referral focus. What we know from Harris Interactive is this, that most people know at least 4 people that will move this year. So the realtors that have the ninja focus, their referral focus is these clients know at least 4 people who will be moving this year. How do I access and earn their referrals? Going back to Lee Cockrell, he went on to say, I'm interviewing 2 or 3 executives a week who are looking for housing. All of them are looking for multi-million-dollar homes. If my realtor had stayed in touch, I could have made their career. All you need is one happy client like Lee Cockrell, and he could end up making your business if you have a referral mindset. So here's the ninja business strategy. The closing is not the end of the relationship, it is the start, or it's perhaps the continuation of that relationship. And we have a referral mindset. What we know is our client will know at least 4 people every year that are moving. And so that's 4 potential transactions every year if we stay in flow with them. In the last 12 months, there's 6 transactions. There's the 4 referrals, plus now they're due to sell their home and buy another home. If you look at this 8-year cycle, there's 34 potential transactions from this one client in that 8-year cycle. If we were to take this through, say, 4 cycles of 8 years each, what we'll find is the lifetime value of this one client. And here's something else. We know their plans well in advance. We're in flow with them. We're in touch with them. So we're going to know well before the mosh pit, well before that last 12-month period, what they're planning to do, and we can help them with that. If you look at the lifetime value of a client, take 34 potential transactions per year times 4 8-year cycles. The lifetime value of that one client is 136 total transactions. So if you take that client over a 32-year period, 4 8-year cycles, if you take those 136 transactions over that 32-year period, let's say your average is $8,000 per transaction. Many of you are in markets where your commission is more than that, but let's just use that number as an example. The lifetime value of that one client is over $1 million in commissions. What if you had 100 clients like that? Well, now all at once, just those 100 clients have a lifetime value of over $100 million. This is the ninja path. This is the path that we're on, and yet only 6% of the realtors choose this path. You will be very differentiated if you follow this path, and we believe you'll be very successful. We encourage you to walk the ninja path. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome takeaways in the chat. So I was busily writing things down. So let me just shout out a couple things that people were commenting on, and then Amy and Don, you guys pipe in with what I've missed or what's been coming in since I started talking. Couple things right off the bat, which I totally agree with. One is that it is a shocking statistic that 74% of clients never hear from their realtor again. So 74% of agents never reach back out after they leave the closing table. So, and then there's another 20% that are sometimes reaching out to their clients. So part of being that 6% that actually stays in consistent touch with your clients. I think that was Kelly mentioned, I need to be one of the 6%, and everybody needs to be one of the 6%. And the way that we do that is by keeping in touch. Jeff said, past clients are your best resources for referrals. Absolutely. Andre said, need to be consistent to stand out, that differentiating factor. And then what about the huge possibilities in your CRM, right? So if we start looking at the dollar value, and we'll talk about that a little later, of each client, the possibilities that are sitting in your CRM, and if you haven't gotten them in your CRM yet, they should be there. At least they should be in your phone. That is a source of income for you for many, many years. So, many people just typed in referrals, and that is kind of what I got while I was writing. Don, Amy, did you see anything that's come up?
I just saw Nancy Karp type in something, and it said that she wants to clone that client that had all those referrals. And I think actually, yes, that's something we really want to focus on, training our clients how to refer us. Somebody else had put in here that they may have sold them a house in Evanston, and then their next client, or those clients then bought a house in Glencoe with somebody else, not realizing that, we do drive up north into New Trier. So, those kind of ideas and insights I think are spot on what Larry's talking about.
And I think also what's really important, somebody in here wrote mindset. And I feel like that has to be the start of everything, because you have to have your mindset right in order for you to be successful in this business and being able to reach out and stay in front of these referral sources. I also love the concept of the mosh pit. I remember that from the 90s, Pearl Jam days, right? Like, who wants to be in the mosh pit? I think Jules said, I'm not a mosher, I'm a ninja. So it's like, don't be battling with all of these disruptors, with these discount brokers, with all of these internet leads where they're catching people, 3 to 6 months before they're doing something. You should be in the flow and in conversation with them years before they actually are thinking about selling. So I loved some of that. And, I also love that people reinforce the idea that the closing is the start of the relationship. Most definitely, especially if this is a new individual that you've worked with, they just got to know you and saw that experience. You get to create an entire relationship beyond the closing. And that, is something that you're responsible for. The other thing is it's your responsibility to make sure that they don't forget you. It's not their responsibility to remember you. So those are just a couple of the things that I think, I saw, and just the fact that one person could get you 34 transactions in a given year. In this week's It's All About Love, we've been focusing on the idea of marketing and putting together your marketing plan. I think what's so important is, and we emphasize this, what are you going to do to stay in front of the people who already know, like, and love you and are the greatest odds of giving you those 34 transactions a year? That is the first group you should focus on when it comes to marketing. Everybody else is secondary. So think about it. If you do some great marketing, it's going to help with exactly what you're trying to do and what we're talking about in this session. But I do know that Don Shea, who is here today, had some, I think 3 or 4 really specific points that he wanted to touch on as we talk about disruptors in our marketplace. And I think we all know who those individuals or those, companies are. And it's just really how they do business. Is it different than how we do business? And us making sure we can articulate that. But I'm going to let Don take it away.
Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody has done a listing presentation, or they've worked with a buyer, and the buyer or the seller has asked them about one company or another company, and can you do what they did? And the reality is, we don't want to talk about them. We're afraid of them, I think, sometimes. But the reality is that these folks, these other companies, are here to stay. And I have a different perspective on them, mainly because when we are not talking to our clients, I think they've done a big job of pulling those people into the retail, into the residential marketplace. I mean, truly, when you think about it, the word Zestimate only entered our lexicon maybe 5-6 years ago, but it's been around since 2006, and we love to bash it. And I think we have almost 200 people on the call today. I'm willing to bet if you did one listing presentation, your client did bring it up and ask you, well, my Zestimate is, what do you think? What we're plagued by really is the fact that we live in a do-it-yourself, a DIY culture. I mean, just browse through the channels tonight when you get home. And there's so many channels on how to do it yourself. One of them is how to buy a house. And they always make it look super easy. These websites capitalize on that. They have a great, easy to use website. Okay. They have tons and tons of information and info like you cannot believe, everything that we thought was proprietary. And the worst, I guess, is that they promise a cheaper transaction. And I use the word cheaper very specifically because it's not the full experience that you guys have, okay, or can provide, or that you strive to deliver every time, okay? But the reality is that companies like Zillow, data company, competitors like Redfin, which offer cheaper rates, they're here to stay, and they do bring people into the marketplace. So let's embrace that, okay? Not be afraid of them and just take them on head, right nose to nose, okay? When Amy, Carma and I were talking about this video yesterday, and many of you noted this in the comments box as it was running, one of the key takeaway for me, and it was just stunning, was how many agents simply walk away from their client after the transaction closes. That is, the number is overwhelming. I cannot imagine it. And, I think Larry's numbers were 6% stay in touch, 20% call once a year, and 74% just walk away. They don't do anything with it, okay? When you think about what we saw in the video, what Larry was talking about, what Amy was just talking about with relationships, the agents that walk away from that transaction after the closing are opening the door wide open for somebody else to jump in there, okay? They're going to grab your client because, guys, we're voyeurs. We love to know what the house next door sold for. We love to know what our Zestimate is. We're going to take a look at some of the photos. So all of a sudden, we're playing around on those websites, and they've got their hooks into us. And if you're absent, if you're not adding some kind of context, well, then you're basically handing your clients right over to these other disruptors, okay? And they're not going to be able to deliver what you do on a daily basis. The fact is, and I love that little graphic that Larry had up there, the pie chart, and Carma's smiling at me because she knows it's a chart. But when you think of it, make each one of those pie slices represented 1 year. Well, there are 8 in that cycle. 7 of those are absent any real substantive agent interaction. And then everybody jumps in year 8. And that's why he colored it in with green. That's where all the noise is. That's where everybody's getting in. They're looking at their estimates. They're looking at commissions. They're looking at houses. And you are now in the noise, the mosh pit, Amy's favorite place, okay? So I think the real takeaway here is, yes, remember this. The closing is the start. Kind of like high school. It's like college. We go to a commencement, okay? We're beginning something new. So think about that closing as moving into the next phase with your client, okay? I really think the value each one of you on this call can deliver to your client in those subsequent 7 years are the insights on how to live in a house. You are a resource, and our goal the day after closing should be to be that resource that they always look to. I need an HVAC guy. I need a new roof. I need to do the windows, a painter, a carpenter, a plumber, snow, whatever it might be. I used a phrase yesterday, and Amy laughed at me. I said, your Rolodex is so much, I don't know if anybody knows what Rolodex is anymore, okay?
Don, I think you're dating yourself. Just kidding.
No, I saw it on a black and white movie last night, okay? Big spinny thing, Anyway, but guys, think about all the contractors, vendors, people that you intersect with every day. Those are the resources that you need to pass on to your clients. And, as we were talking about training them to remember that you do sell outside of your market, like if I live in Evanston, I can still sell Glencoe or Lake Forest. You need to train your clients to come back to you, to call you, say, Carma, do you know somebody who? Hey, Amy, what did they sell that house for? Be part of that dialogue. So, in this whole thing, I want you guys, if you take one thing away from this whole video, it's that the closing is just the start. Okay, so those are some of the insights that I walked away from. Where should we go next?
No, I love it. And I think, we talked a couple of weeks ago, and it's all about love, about being a super connector. And it was the idea of finding your super connectors. Those are the people that you want to most definitely get in front of, because if there's anybody that's going to give you 34 deals in a year, odds are it's a super connector. But I also want you to switch that hat a little bit and think about the idea of you being a super connector for all of your clients. The relationship just begins at closing. And so you need to think about the things they're going to need and the value you're going to be able to bring over that 8-year cycle. And in the chat, one person did ask, is the cycle different in the city in comparison to the suburbs? Rule of thumb, when you look at any national stats, they usually say the length of time for home ownership is anywhere between 7 to 10 years. And it just sort of depends on a person's life. But let's face it, a condo in the city, you're probably looking at a faster turn time. When we were in the city, we were there for 3 years, and then we realized we were going to start a family, and they weren't going to be able to fit in the second bedroom of our condo where all my husband's golf stuff was. So you might recognize the cycle is faster in some of your markets. So that's for you to kind of determine and figure out too, with your sphere of influence. You might be seeing this turnover a little bit faster. But I know we're almost out of time, and I know that one of the things that we like to do here is talk about pro tips. And I think each of us has a pro tip today. So I'll start with mine, and then Carma, you can jump in with final thoughts and a pro tip, and same with Don. So one of the sayings that I use often, and Don and I were talking about it yesterday, was the idea of letting your clients know that you are not just the buy and sell. You are everything in between. But here's the thing, you need to message that to your clients. And what you need to articulate to them is, look, I'm not just here when you buy your house and when you sell your house. Yes, I will be. Those are two really important parts of your sales cycle, but I'm also here for all of the in-between. And what do I mean by that? That means when they're thinking about remodeling their kitchen, when they're thinking about whether they should add on or if they should spend money on landscaping the backyard as opposed to the front yard, they should be calling you as their first point of contact to say, is this the best way for us to enhance our asset right now? You are their asset manager. You're holding and helping them with that portfolio. So you should be the first phone call before they call the kitchen contractors. But the thing is that a lot of times our clients don't always recognize that, or they feel like they don't want to bother us because we're giving them sort of free advice. But this is how you develop the relationship. So remember to articulate. My pro tip is articulate. You're not just the buy and sell. You're everything in between. And let them know that, and really encourage them to reach out to you as their first stop.
Okay. All right. I have just a couple things to add before going into my pro tip. So one thing is, somebody typed into the chat, and I think it's something we've been talking about for weeks, and it's a core tenet of Ninja, which is we are about making relationships, not completing transactions. That's what we're trying to do. That is what is going to cement relationships going forward, to get them to think of you when somebody they know or they themselves are looking to buy or sell. And the other thing is, somebody talked about asking questions of their clients as they're buying their home, right? Which goes back to what Amy said about her condo. If you have this dialogue as they're searching for that home, so how long do you want to be in this house? What do you think you're going to need in a house, right? As you're looking for what it is they want, you're going to get information that you can then put into your CRM and know and set a reminder. Hey, this person's first kid is going to be looking at kindergarten in 2022. I should reach out to them in 2022 in January because I want to see what they're doing. Are they still thinking about staying in the city? Are they going to move out? What are they doing? Those kinds of things are the ways that we can stay in front of people, asking about them in a genuine way. Hey, how are things going? I know your oldest is turning 5, blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the ways that we stay in front of people and keep these relationships. And if you're going to be a resource, you need to be educated about your markets. And you can't be educated about every single one, but you should be educated about your primary market or markets. If you're like, I used to walk all the time as an agent with friends. If I'm walking around, they're like, oh, what's going on with that house? Oh, do you know why that house sold for such and such? You need to know that if people are going to see you as that resource. And training your clients to refer you is about training yourself to be in front of them consistently and providing information and adding value to them. Whatever that value is that they might need that's real estate related or even not real estate related, be that resource. So then my little pro tip, Amy, did you have the little slide or do you want?
Oh, I did. I don't.
You want me to pull it up? Because I can do it.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, I have it so that you can share.
Okay, so hold on one second, everybody. Bear with me. This is at Data Don's request, we have a slide. So this is
We
the
have
first
an algorithm
slide we've
that
ever
you can
done.
all
So
use.
to throw it off a little bit. So bear with us. And fortunately, now it may not be very pretty because it's now in my PowerPoint format, but you're all going to forgive me. All right, can you see my little slide? All right,
Yep.
I have to move our heads. All right. Okay. So just to kind of go off of what Larry said about the lifetime value of one client, what is the value of one client? So I kind of took just a very, very frankly, pretty conservative commission amount. And all of this is in the packet that is on the post in the app. So you can get all of this information in the packet. I'm just plugging in a certain number. So if we go back to what he talked about, first, we're going to talk about the annual value of a client, one single client's annual value. So he talked about them being able to refer you to 4 people in 1 year. So you have client A, they know 4 people that are going to move. That's 4 referrals in 1 year. If your average commission is $4,000, which isn't I stayed conservative, so the numbers didn't look so wonky. That's $4,000 per referral, $16,000 a year for that one client that you stay in front of, for that one client that you're the 6%. So then if we take that one client and assume a 32-year relationship, which is 4 of those roughly 8-year homeowner cycles, you can adjust this. Maybe you're not going to be in real estate another 32 years. You can change that number however you want. But what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, I've got my average annual value of referrals, which we know is 16,000. And we're going to multiply it by 32. And we're going to say, okay, that's $512,000 in commission income from that one person over the lifetime of that relationship. If you have 50 or 75 A's and B's in your CRM, if you even have 30, those are still some significant numbers because your A's and B's are the ones that are most likely to refer you business. So you say their lifetime referral value is 512,000. If we work through the rest of this and you say, okay, now what about their transaction value? Because that client is not only referring you, they are expected over 32 years again to move 4 times, which is a buy, sell, right? So 8 transactions per that one client. So what is that client's lifetime value of transactions? 8 times 4,000, 32. So if we add their transaction value and their referral value together, one client can be worth $544,000 in commission income. And that's nothing to sneeze at. So you can do this math. This is again in the packet from Larry with a little more text and stuff, but you can fill in whatever you want. But so that is my pro tip. And it all comes back to that CRM, because I believe in the CRM, because the CRM will prompt you to stay in front of the right people if you rank them as the right people. A's and B's are the people you spend the most time and money on because they are the most likely to refer you business. Even if you've never done a deal with them, but they know a ton of people and they love you and you stay in front of them and demonstrate your knowledge and your value on a regular monthly basis all the time, they will refer you business because you're the one in front of them. That would be my pro tip for the day. Complete with slide, which isn't quite as pretty as it could be, but there you go.
I love that slide. I mean, when you think about why are we doing something, that just makes it so concrete, and everybody's number will be a little bit different. I was watching the chat box and I was thinking as both you and Amy were talking, the word resource kept coming up frequently, okay? There's one other thing I think we need to remember to do, and it's so simple, guys. I'm going to ask everybody to do it this morning. Look back at the last 2 years of your closings. Go into those client records and make sure you put the anniversary of their closing in there, because it is the ultimate set it and forget it tool we have. You will get an email on that right before that client's anniversary saying, hey, Carma bought our house 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, give her a call. It's a prompt to reach out to somebody, okay? But since we're talking about referrals, and it really seems to be where we are, my pro tip is this. Use positive reinforcement to train your clients to send you referrals. What I mean by that is 2 words. Just say thank you. When you get that, make sure you are rewarding them for doing something nice for you. It's a feel good. People want to be around people who make them feel good, okay? then they'll start to look to you as a resource because you're trusted. You're a nice person. You're a nice guy. We want to talk with you. So, if we want to be that resource, yes, as Carma said, you got to have the market info. You need to have it. And I think we got to just practice that one little bit of kindness. Thank you. And you'll be shocked at what that actually pays off. So that was my pro tip.
That's why we all want to be around
love
you,
it.
Don. You make us all feel good.
Good.
That's
There we go.
right.
And just based on the chat, I will take the slide and I will add it to the post as a separate document. I have it in PDF. So I add that to the post. So just so everybody knows that slide. My fancy slide, not so much, but there you go.
I love it. It's great. It's super easy and people can do their calculations and see how much they can plan on making if they just focus on these relationships. So this was great. Don, you were awesome. You had some great insight for everybody. We always appreciate your time and thought as it comes to relationships in this business. So thanks for joining us. And Carma, fabulous as always. And we just want to thank all of you guys for joining us today. Let your friends know that if they couldn't get it, this will be up on video later on this afternoon. So make it a great day, you guys. And thanks for joining us.
Amy, thank you.
Thursday. Thanks, Don.
Thank you,
All right.
Carma.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye now.